Welcome to another episode. Glad to have you. We're going to touch on an important topic today, but we'll focus on the interaction between the GI Bill and marketing the GI Bill and how to stay compliant when doing so. When developing a marketing strategy for promoting the GI Bill's benefits at a university, it's very important to align practices with federal guidelines and principles essentially designed to protect and properly inform military service members, veterans, and their families. GI Bill is very important. You also want to care for a very, special section or grouping of your student population. And the VA, takes it very seriously, how you represent the GI Bill itself and its associated and or connecting benefits and information and all that jazz. But for most of you understand what the GI Bill benefits, what the GI Bill is and its benefits. For those that don't, GI Bill provides various educational benefits to veterans, active duty personnel, and their families. And it's primarily designed to help them cover costs associated with higher education and training programs. The post 9/11 GI Bill, for example, covers comprehensive coverage, and that can include tuition and housing, and even a stipend for books and supplies. Now, universities or colleges that receive federal funding for military and veterans' educational benefits have to essentially adhere to the principles of excellence set forth by the Veterans Administration. And this executive order mandates institutions to provide prospective students with detailed, personalized information prior to enrollment. There's a lot of nuances related to that. But you have to be very transparent around total program costs, the coverage extended by the federal benefits that your school qualifies for through the GI Bill, depending on what chapter is available, what available additional financial aid there is. You have to be very clear on communicating the potential loan debt load for students that use the GI Bill. And there's a lot of guidelines around communicating student outcomes in a very clear way. And just like anything else, they want to protect military personnel and their families from being misled or, being exposed to predatory enrollment, recruitment, marketing practices. So you've got to refrain from fraudulent, aggressive recruitment tactics. This includes a way to ensure transparency in your marketing materials and recruitment practices, specifically around the nature and the benefit of educational programs offered at your university and college. Now, in line with that too, the VA really wants you to market yourself, aggressively might not be the right word, but they want military personnel and their families to have to choose from. They want, that grouping of the student population to have great access, right? So they want universities and colleges to market to military personnel and families, veterans, active duty. They want you to communicate clearly on the benefits available for them, to pay for education through your institution. So it's this really great effort to support universities and colleges in marketing in a proactive way, right? But also protecting military personnel and families through making sure that marketing is done in a compliant way. I think you're fine, right? If you present all the costs associated with all the educational programs, you already have to do that for other Department of Education standards and guidelines. You got to make sure that you do communicate what is covered by the GI Bill and what remains out of pocket for students. I think a lot of schools, that's where they get in trouble, right? Most military personnel, active duty, veterans, family, don't really understand benefits clearly. So they're relying on the universities and colleges to provide that information and to educate accurately. And what we find is if you can create a tailored pathway or process, for military personnel, whether that's an advising team, whether that's a military admissions team, a place in your web assets, landing page, website that's specific to military personnel and family, you're able to do that in a much better way. And then you want to highlight program approvals and accreditations, right? So conferral programs are approved, through your accreditor, and which ones, are essentially available for aid through the GI Bill, right? We think that that's important. And you really have to work through some flexible administrative policies, right? There's a lot of nuances to how these rules and standards are administered. So, for example, you have to give military personnel and their families that are using GI Bill benefits to pay for their education ample time to make a appropriate decision about their education. So, they're not going to let you essentially market to a student. That student sees, that advertisement or collateral, makes a decision to go to your school and applies and registers and starts today, right? And you have to create flexibility to kind of adapt to these rules and regulations. You've got to incorporate, feedback loop, connect with students utilizing GI Bill benefits to continually improve educational services and compliance. You want to ensure that grievances are addressed, quickly and effectively, particularly those related to the use of the benefits, right, at your institution. But I think from a marketing standpoint, it's very important to understand that the GI Bill trademark, which encompasses everything GI Bill to include the use case of the two words together, GI Bill, is actually a trademark exclusively owned by the VA. So the Department of Veteran Affairs is the sole owner of the GI Bill trademark. And the concept is that by creating this sole ownership trademark, they can help to prevent misuse of the terms and ensure that it's used solely to promote official VA benefit programs and services. It does have very restrictive use, right? The trademark restricts the use of the term GI Bill to those entities that are directly affiliated or authorized by the VA. This includes universities and colleges eligible to receive VA education benefits, state approving agencies, and veteran services organizations. And you have to use it in a manner that does not falsely imply a relationship and or endorsement by the VA. When it comes to promotional use, they're very, very particular about this, right? You may use it in promotional materials such as print and electronic ads, media, digital communication, but you always have to use the registered trademark symbol. And they have they've got a how-to on how to do this, right? Because it is a registered trademark of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. The VA does actively enforce the use of the GI Bill trademark, right? And they will go after the misuse of it, and it can lead to legal action by the VA. And they promote different entities, to report suspected violations. So I think in summary, right, the GI Bill is a great, is a great program and provides amazing benefits to one of the most important populations in our country. And it's important to understand that the VA wants universities and colleges to market, in a consistent manner, to make an emphasis to market its programs to the military population, their families, and the benefits available at your university and college. But as much as they are fan of that initiative and that drive, they want to make sure that it's, being used effectively, and that, you're being honest not hostile in nature, not aggressive or predatory in your recruitment and marketing practices. But you really have to have somebody at university or college that understands the trademark of the GI Bill and how to utilize it effectively and where does it need to go. So glad to have you. Have a great rest of your day.